Dear our good viewers, we want to appreciate you for the wonderful work done for subscribing to our channel. On a special note, this time around I'll be conducting my interview in English, and alongside me I have a friend, an OB and a comrade who goes by the names of Kaujja Alex. Is vying for a certain post that he will disclose himself, but for now allow me introduce him to you, and he says a word or two.
Thank you XK. My name is Alex Kaujja Waiswa. I use three names because I adopted the third name during my P7 because of what I was going through. You know, my upbringing has been full of ups and downs, and so I had a brother who was there with me during the ups and downs. His name was Waiswa, and that's why I adopted the name, because you know, in our culture we know all the Waiswas are twins, and it so happens that I'm not a twin, but I adopted the name because of what I was going through. So my name is Alex Kaujja Waiswa. I'm a father of 3 boys. I'm a friend, I'm a son, and I'm a leader naturally. Talking about leadership, I lead a project called SIMU Uganda, which we founded about 4 years ago with my brother, who is now passed. Most of you know him by the name Waiswa Michael, and so it's why I talked about the name Waiswa, because that's how I adopted it, because we went through a lot of things together. So together we led this project called SIMU Uganda, and he was the CEO and I was the program director. But after his demise, I had to take on the role of being the executive director, and so it's what I'm working on right now. It's what I'm leading right now.
For starters, someone would like to know what do you do in SIMU? What is it all about?
SIMU is a Christian founded non-profit organization.
Go a little slow. It's
a Christian founded non-profit organization. Okay. Christian founded means our principles are Christian based. We look at principles that are honoring to God, that are godly. We look at principles that push us in our faith, trying to find our divine purpose. We look at principles that are honoring to human rights, and so all these principles are designed in a way that they are Christian nature. So it's a Christian founded, and it's a non-profit. We don't do business in our non-profit organization. We entirely do I don't want to say charity work, because charity is kind of, you know, it's derived by other principles that are not Christian founded. So we are doing a lot of activities and projects that help the common man. You know, in science we say man to mean both women and men, but we do help women specifically, and women we help widows and abused women that have gone through all, you know, forms of abuse. We help children between the ages of 0 years to 18 or 17 years and 11 months before they clock 18. But we don't limit our support to only women and children. There are men who are struggling too. So we have projects that are designed to help even men that are going through, you know, some kind of need. Let's say they need of economic support. So we have projects that are designed to support them in one way or the other. And we have designed projects that are helping children in school. For example, for the girls, we talk about the Empower the Girl Child, whereby we go to schools and teach them about their sexual reproductive health rights. We offer sanitary wares after they have gone through a learning of how they can handle their health sexually.
So if I may interrupt, where do you get all the fundings to do all these activities? Because they seem to be a little broad. I'm trying to listen and see where you can finalize them from, but I'm seeing nowhere. They're a little broad. Where do you get the fundings?
It's a good question. Running a non-profit organization, it's not an easy task, especially if you're looking at sourcing for funds.
Yeah.
When we were starting, I'll take you back to where we started from. I was working for an organization. It's called an organization, but it's a for-profit organization, BRAC Uganda. You know what it means. It's a financial institution, so they have projects that are for non-profit. And so I was working with them for about 9 months or 10, and I made some savings through the 9 months. And all the savings that I made for the 9 months, we diverted them to start up the non-profit. Likewise to my brother, because he also had his savings. So all the funding, back to your question, doesn't really come from the government or big institutions like United States Agency for International Development. The funding comes from within us and supporters. Like for instance, you'd be out there and you're interested in supporting my projects. You're interested in supporting the children. You're touched by the stories that we share. So you will be pushed or compelled, to reach out and find out how you can support. The reason we call it Sow in Me Uganda, sow in me, sowing the seed. We believe in people who are looking, to do something, but they don't know how to do it. So our organization gives them a platform on how to build or add a brick to the building of a well-structured world, because we're all looking at having a good world or a good environment to live in. So the funding comes from within us, within friends and our wishers. We don't depend on any big funding agencies like USAID, like most organizations do. We don't depend on the government. It's from within us.
Okay. Still on the set is my brother Kaujja Alex, who is vying for a certain post that is yet to unleash. But for now, we are still talking about Sow in Me before we cross the other line, maybe politics in particular. What are some of the roles and objectives of Sow in Me?
Good question. Our goal is to empower women and children and the entire community with skills, knowledge, and share opportunities that there is, to help with economic dependence, because these women are more dependent on men and other, forms or avenues of where they get the funding. So we look at empowering them economically so they can be independent. Okay. Being economically independent, we look at fighting domestic violence. We look at being able to sustain themselves and support their children. We look at being in a position whereby they can get whatever they need at any time, not having to wait for the husband, because most of them don't have husbands. Most of them they don't have people that they're depending on. And so that is our main goal. And then the objectives, we're looking at empowering communities with the best projects. When we are designing these projects, we involve our beneficiaries, because these are the stakeholders. We are stakeholders, but these are the people that we are looking at supporting. So we involve them, we come to them and talk to them about their needs, and then we go back and design the projects that we are looking at. So we want to make sure that they get opportunities like to the children who are seated at home. A child might be seated at home. I'm talking about the children who are in universal primary education. The government says it's offering free education, but then children are sent from school because they don't have money to pay for, they say lunch, but in simple terms they ask for 5 kilograms of maize, and then some ask for some kilograms of beans to take to school. But there are people, there are children, there are women who can't afford that. So we are looking at creating such opportunities for such children who are sat at home. Let's say a child drops out of school because they were not able to take to school the 5 kilograms of maize or beans. He won't be, he or she won't be able to stay in school, and this will put them at risk of ending up in early marriages. You know, this is the most common issue that is at hand in our region, talking about Busoga region. So we create opportunities for such children. We create more opportunities for children who are out of school. There are children that you find out there, and he or she is putting on one shirt without pants or a skirt. He or she is putting on a pant without a top, a blouse, or torn clothes. So we source for whatever opportunities at hand is at our exposure to share the little we have with these children and the women in the communities.
Thank you.
There are so many objectives, but because
of time, you just have to hint on it.
Right, yeah.
So that we can get the picture and where you're heading. So apparently, I would ask, how far have you moved towards achieving some of your goals and objectives?
We started with 3 children. That was April of 2016. But as we talk now, we have 48 fully supported children. These are direct beneficiaries. These are the children that we support from their homes and then to school. We have supported, each year we support 24 women, or 24 to 25, that is our margin. It's our average number of people that we support with agricultural training and agricultural supplies. But that has been running for 4 years now. Taking off this year that has affected us through the COVID period. But if you add the numbers, you have an average of about 75 women, direct beneficiaries. These are the women that we choose, and then they benefit from us directly. They receive training and then the seeds. But there are women that we've trained and they have not received the seeds. These are more than the 75 that I've talked about. And then there are children that we've reached out with food supplies from the years past. We've reached out with clothes and shoes, whatever we find, whatever we share with them. There are children that we have reached out with evangelism or the Bible study projects. And so from our records, we've so far reached out to over 1,300 children, and then about 600 women also. So that is how much we've impacted. That's how much we've achieved.
Okay. I'm still with Alex Kaujja, the director right now, so me. At the same time is vying for a certain post. I wouldn't wish to unveil before he does it himself.
Right.
So we're still with him on set. And this brings me to another question of mine. What are some of the challenges that you've encountered in this project of yours?
There's quite a number of challenges. When you're walking a journey that you don't expect to achieve anything, I mean, on a personal level. Because when we are working with Sow in Me Uganda, this is entirely non-profit, and so we don't expect any profits. But when you're out there, someone will say, God bless you for doing this and this, and that is mine, and I take that openly, I embrace that openly. So there's been quite challenges. Like for instance, most of our projects are non-sustainable, and that is the greatest challenge. It's very hard to run a project without funds. It's very hard to run a project without a clear plan of what will happen next if you've used up the funds of this year. Like for instance, last year was quite successful, though it's the year that we lost our CEO. But then in the middle of it, someone, God puts, I don't want to call it a burden, but a need on her heart to support us. And so she funded most of our projects, and they were running quite smoothly towards the end. But again, through the year as it started and then where we are now, we've been affected because the funds are nowhere to be seen. So the major challenge is funding. And then the other thing is, our government. I don't want to talk about more of the government, but we have to be open enough about how we feel about certain things, like how we're running our projects. There's so much influence when it comes to how they design policies for such projects to run. Like they want us to do things the way they feel things should be done, which is, to me, it's wrong, because you don't know how much people are in need. You don't get the time or exposure to the needs of these people. So it's also a challenge, the influence from the government and how they are designing these policies before they know the need of the people. Right.
So for me, I want to pose my question from there. For you, how do you trace for these people that need your help, need your support, need to be empowered? Okay. How do you get them?
We have community volunteers who are in direct contact with community leaders. Community leaders, we talk about local council one chairpersons. That is the first person we look at. So we make sure we create a relationship between our organization through the community leader. Through the community volunteer to the community leader. So the community leader communicates to us through our community volunteer, and that is how we get to know or identify the people in need, and we address their needs.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much. No. We are still with Alex Kaujja. I'm now making him cross to another line, another side that is yet another interesting point. This is now politics. He's coming up as the Bunya West Member of Parliament. Alex Kaujja.
Yes.
How are you ready for this?
Readiness has taken me about 9 years now, because I started to dream of this in 2011. That was my first year at campus. And so, I've been a volunteer for quite some time. I've worked with different organizations. I've had the opportunity, to get exposure to people, the common man, and how they are suffering and how they are going through the needs that they're going through. So my political ambition began in 2011. So it's been a journey. And now, when we get to 2020, when we are getting ready for the campaigns, it's how I'm ready. I've been ready, I've been prepared for this for 9 years now, and so that is how ready I am.
Okay. Most of the people that are vying for posts, they come under certain political parties. And as they've named them not names, they've named them homes.
Right.
Do you have a home that you subscribe to?
Fortunately not. I say fortunately not because I've lived a test of time, seeing how political parties implement policies or relate with people, the common man. And so I'm not impressed about how political parties relate or how they divide people in one way or the other. Divisions are caused by the difference in ideology. I might be affiliated to a political party, but I lose a mandate because a voter doesn't support the political ideology of my political party. And being independent is in such a way that I look at being a unifying factor. I want to unify these people that are divided because of the difference in the political ideology caused by political parties. And so I'm coming up as an independent because in me there is a need to unite. In me there is a need to work for everyone. In me there's been this ambition, this force that drives me to work for someone who is politically affiliated to FDC or NRM or NUP. All these people I need. All these people are being oppressed. They are not, when a party in leadership is oppressing, it doesn't segregate. It doesn't say this one is FDC, this one is NRM. If it's oppressing, it will oppress everyone. But I want to come out and fight for everyone who is under oppression. That's why I'm vying for my political post on an independent ticket.
But also people imagine from certain political parties also move along certain privileges. Don't you think you're missing out on them?
The privilege that I look at is, comes from my voter. That is the best privilege that I can ever think of. If a voter doesn't vote for you, no matter how much privileges you earn from the political party, you won't be elected in the position. My best privilege is the voter, and so I'm not missing out on anything.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Alex Kaujja on set is vying for MP Bunya West Member of Parliament 2021-2026. Alex, today's politics is characterized by a lot of voter briberies, people splashing the cash and all sorts of free giveaways. How are you ready to face this challenge? How are you ready to address this challenge?
Thank you so much, XK. Fortunately, I don't see that as a challenge. I'm a Bible reader. I'm a faith-filled person. And so I want to share something with you. And it comes from the Bible. I work with my Bible. This is a mobile Bible. But you allow me a minute to share something to answer your question. It comes from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, from verse 13 to 16. It says, "A young leader who is poor but wise is better than a king who is old but foolish. That old king does not listen to warnings. Maybe the young ruler was born a poor man in the kingdom, and maybe he came from prison through the country. But I've watched people in this life, and I know this. People will follow that young man. He will become the new king. Many people will follow this young man." We are talking about an old, foolish king who thinks he's going to use the resources that are at his exposure, to drive the attention of the voters. If you don't have policies in place, if you don't have things that you've put in place to convince the voter to vote you into power, then you're going to use your funds. And the voters are going to eat your funds. They are going to take all your funds. But if you have policies, well-stipulated policies, and how you're going to put them into action, that is what the voter is willing to take home. That is what the voter is willing to listen to. That is what the voter is willing, to allow. So I don't have the funds to give away because I don't have them, but I have the policies designed.
Thank you. Let's now talk about the policies.
Okay.
Yeah. What are some of those policies that you're willing to implement in case they've entrusted you with power?
Thank you. For some time now, I've been attached to different organizations working in community. These are community organizations. There is Community Vision, that is Kamuli. We were working with Kamuli, Gang and Mayuge district. There is Southeastern Private Sector Foundation. Still we were working with Igang and Mayuge. So I had the opportunity to relate with the people and find out what their needs are. And so these are the things that I'm looking at on building. Because if you're in a position of leadership, there are so many opportunities that you have access to. Unlike us who are in non-profit sector or the private sector wing, we are limited resources. But if I could do a little while in the private sector, how much could I impact while in the leadership position? So the policies that I'm talking about, sorry for the long explanation, but I'm looking at education. The district that I'm going to represent, or that I'm seeking to represent, especially my county, Bunya County West, has been affected by the high literacy rate. So I'm looking at improving the education sector. In my capacity as an individual or as an MP, I can't do that, but I can use the platform to influence more the government to change on how they're implementing education policies. For instance, last year there was a need to change the syllabus, but most people didn't understand the importance of that, because most people look at, most employers now look at skills than your qualifications, like let's say the papers or your degree or certificate. If you graduate from school without skills, now people are not looking at your certificate, they are looking at the skills you've graduated with. I'll give you an example. Last month, but one in June, towards the end, Trump signed into law a decree, something that looks at employing more of the skills than the degree, but it doesn't take away the importance of your degree or your certificate. So I'm looking at education policies, better education policies. I'm looking at better health services, to improve better health services. You're going to ask me how I'm going to do that in my position.
Exactly, that's what.
Yeah, I've had an opportunity to work with different organizations, and so I believe in lobbying. When you're in a position of leadership, let's say a member of parliament, you're only going to look at approving the budget, coming out and monitoring the government projects, and you forget that you have access to better opportunities that you can lobby for your people and share. So I'm looking at lobbying more for my people of Bunya County West. So better education policies, better healthy policies, and also there are things that I can't share now because we are just in the process of, and so all these things are stipulated in my manifesto that will be out this week.
Thank you so much.
Right.
So you seem to be planning to rob a lot for Bunya West, but coming as an independent. We've already seen independent candidates in parliament when they go through all this hell of like campaigns and they reach parliament. It becomes a little hard for them to achieve their dreams, to rob for their constituencies, rob for their counties. Now that you've come on an independent ticket and you know that it is already in your mind, that it becomes a little difficult. Why don't you adjust your decision?
That is not going to happen because like I said, I've worked with different organizations, and so there's so many opportunities that I can access in the position I'm seeking, in the member of parliament position that I'm seeking. Most of the challenges that non-profit or the private sector faces is because those in government have failed, to approve of the policies that the private sector is putting forward. But if I have influence from the government, if I have influence in my position, it will be quite easy than how I'll do it without being in the leadership position. So to answer your question, it's not going to be a challenge at any 1 minute. It's going to be quite easy because I have friends that I'll be connected to. I don't look at the difference in ideologies, no matter which political party you attach to. But I'm looking at working for the common man. And so if I'm looking at unifying, then I don't look at you being NRMO of this and I will say, oh, I won't work with you. I'll work with you because I'm looking at working for the common man.
Thank you so much.
Right.
My question has been at least well answered. Thank you. So there is always a phrase among the masses, among the voters.
Right.
Whenever younger blood like you emerges, coming like vying for a certain post, just like you're vying for. There is a setumwe.
Yeah.
Why do you think this phrase has become viral?
That's a very good question, and I'll answer it in this way. The reason as to why that saying has gone viral and it's affecting the mandates is because the government has failed in one way or the other, and so people are now looking at draining the MPs that have been in positions or that have been in leadership because they know these people have money. I'll give you an example. Each time something wants to be passed and people are against it in parliament, the government will offer them money. And so because of the anger in the voter, they will say we have to drain this representative because he's done nothing or she's done nothing. But if you know, if you know why you're vying for a certain position, if you know why you're standing for that position, and if you know where you're coming from, then this saying that says oh, let us also vote him into power for him to access and, you know, become rich or wealthy, to me it won't work, because I know where I'm coming from, I know why I'm vying for that position, and if I have that opportunity, then I'm going to be a model member of parliament, and my constituency is going to be a model constituency. Right.
Thank you so much. Kaujja Alex vying for MP Bunya West. Is it a
constituency?
Bunya West constituency.
Right.
Yeah, I'm finding a little difficulties in explaining what he's vying for, but the good thing above all, at the end of the day, I'm able to explain what he's vying for. So, Kaujja, as we finalize, the government has initiated scientific campaigns. You seem to be vying for a position which is a little remote that people have. They're a little limited to accessing gadgets like TVs, apart from radios, smartphones, mentioned but a few. How has this affected you, positively or negatively?
I'm not going to talk about the negative side, because I've actually achieved from it. But again, I'll talk about why it's not, you know, being a good way of implementing the electoral policies this time round. But to first answer your question, it has given me vibration in my campaigns. I'll give you an example. When I first came out publicly to share my political ambition, I posted my poster, my campaign poster on my Facebook page, and within an hour or less, I had 200 likes. These are people who like, these are people who comment, these are people who share, and these are people who downloaded my poster and, you know, shared in different WhatsApp groups and on their profile pictures. So it has helped me, because it's given me a vibration.
But not whoever liked and posted and shared is your voter.
Right, yeah, but they have influence. I might have a following of 1,000 Facebook friends. These are people from all over. They're not people from where I come from or where I live. These are people from different communities or different constituencies. And so I have young people that I'm in touch with that are using this scientific mode of campaigning to, you know, spread the word. And it has helped me, but in one way or the other it has affected me, because not all the women in communities have access to phones. However, there are those that have access to radios, and so I'm using the opportunity, I'm using the platform to use radios. Unfortunately, the TVs are not accessible in the rural communities, but I'm lucky that in my constituency I at least have 3 town councils whereby they have the largest number of voters. So it has given me a vibration.
Okay. Thank you so much. This has been Alex Kaujja for you, is vying for MP Bunya constituency. In 1 minute or 2, can you say a word or final remarks to our viewers?
Thank you so much, XK. First of all, I want to request my followers, my friends, whoever will get an opportunity to watch this, to subscribe to SK's YouTube channel. You can look up for XK Finals YouTube channel. You know, we look at supporting each other. It's, you know, it's within me to support the young people to grow their ambitions. And if you don't support us, then we won't grow. So please kindly subscribe. To the viewer, my followers, my friends, my family, I've come up and I'm very confident that we have the mandate, because I've been reached out by a number of people. I've been messaged, people have called, people have, you know, come to my home, and they're so happy about my political ambitions. They're willing to support. And so you out there who thinks, you know, who thinks things are not, you know, easy or achievable, it's very achievable. And You know, I'm a very faith-filled person, and so I believe in God making ways where there is no way. And so I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to have a high self-esteem. I want you to pray and have faith. It's all possible. To wind up, I want to send you greetings, whoever has watched this, and send you my love. And I want you to share this video to whoever will get an opportunity to watch it. Thank you so much.
The people.
Bunya County West. I can't forget that.
You nearly forget.
No. I can't forget that. That was coming last, but you interrupted. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
That has been Kaujja Alex for you. It has been XK Finals. Just do one thing: continue subscribing, liking, and sharing. We'll still bring you more and more. We'll bring you politicians, influencers, celebrities, and all those ones that you wish to see on set. See you when you see me again. It has been XK.